Hi, Tony here and welcome back to another video on the GSX-8S project, and this time, as you've already worked out, we are looking at an exhaust system. As it is with the stock exhaust, looks wise I don't think it's that bad. From a sound point of view, I don't think it really profiles this engine. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of really obnoxious, incredibly loud exhausts. I would like something that would make this sound a little bit nicer but without being too loud. IXIL is a Spanish brand based in Barcelona, and it's a brand I think that's not that well known in the UK, but it's starting to gain a little bit of traction. They've got a nice range of exhaust systems and they cover a huge amount of bikes. They do two particular systems for the GSX-8S, the one that we're going to fit, and there's also one that's got a twin exit exhaust pipe, which is a little bit bigger, a little bit quieter. I reached out to these guys and said, are you interested in featuring the exhaust? IXIL said, yep, we've got one that we can send out to you. You can fit it to the bike, show the installation, show people what it is, let them hear what it sounds like, and then you can send that back to us when the bike goes back. So thank you very much to those guys for getting involved in the project. It's the full system that's going on here. It's what they call the Race Xtrem carbon. So we've got a header pipe that comes through, and then this is the end can that goes onto that. We'll see what it's like in terms of noise. I can only tell that once I've fitted it. I do need to point out that this isn't an EU homologated exhaust system at present. Inside the box we have the fitting kit, which is all nicely packaged, and you get full installation instructions as well with photographs, which is nice to see. It looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward swap. I have heard that getting access to the header bolts can be tricky. You may have to unbolt the radiator, but we'll find out. First things first though, this optional extra little side skirt needs to come off, so a couple of bolts. We'll get that out of the way. We should be okay to leave the one on the other side. That's just going to help us get to all of the other bits and pieces under here to get this undone. Next job is to undo these bolts here, or rather to loosen these bolts. There's one here, there's one on the other side. And the reason I say loosen them, because if you take those out first, all of the weight of this system is held on by the four bolts on the studs up on the manifold. Don't forget, you've also got to remove the lambda sensor as well. And when it comes to replacing this, you've got to remember to put a little bit of twist in it that way, so that when you tighten it up, you're not putting these cables under stress. Okay, so let's have a chat about getting these off, because I've seen lots of variations on how to do it. You can get to these with standard hand tools. I used a combination of one of these Allen keys and one of these, which importantly has got a ball point on the end. So I'll draw a little diagram of where the bolts are and what I use to get each one of those. If you want to just take the rad off, you can do that, but you can get to it with a combination of Allen keys. So the four header bolts are undone. I've just undone this one on the other side. You can see that that's now free. All that's holding the exhaust on is this. Support the exhaust with one hand. Take this bolt out. There we go. And then the whole exhaust will come off in one go. And that is quite a chunky boy. There is a weight saving to this as well. So there you go, stock exhaust on the scales, 17 pounds or just over 7.5 kilos. The new exhaust, which I've just pulled together here, it's missing a couple of clamps, which are not really going to have that much of effect on the weight. This one you can see 3.5 kilos, just under 8 pounds. So significantly lighter. Sadly, for some reason, the audio was missing from a couple of clips, and I didn't realise that until I came to edit. So all I'm showing here is this clamp needs to go onto the header pipe. And then I was just showing you how nicely finished the headers are. These are not bent from one single piece. They are welded, but they have been dressed. So the only words you've got are at the bottom and on the link pipe in the middle. The clamps are held into place with elastic bands for transportation, but that can actually be quite handy when it comes to fit them on. You just can keep them in place and then snip the elastic bands when you're done. The one thing you will have to do is put new cross washers in, and I've put the part number on the screen for those cross washers to order because they don't come as part of the kit for some reason.
Whilst the headers were off, I took the opportunity to do a little clean up behind there because it's obviously much easier to get to. Bolting the headers in place is just the exact reverse of taking them off. That's pretty straightforward. Replace the lambda sensor, remembering to pre-twist the cable before screwing it in.
This can now be slid over the top here and that bracket left loose.
To mount the silencer, you first need to remove the circlip from the underside of the passenger footbed. You can then remove the actual pin and replace that with a nut and bolt that's in the kit and the small L bracket.
You've got two threaded sections on the top here. That's where that bracket goes. You've got a little bit of movement, and then these go on there with just a lock washer. So they're on there loosely, and then you've got this little machined bit that goes on there, and that bolts onto the other section. And this is also where that secondary DB killer goes.
Then it's just a case of sliding the muffler fully on, making sure that's tight, and then lining up the hole before fitting the mounting bolt, and then ensuring that all of the rest of the bolts are snugged up nice and tightly. The finishing touch for this includes two spring clips with a tool to help you stretch those on. I'm not going to fit these now just in case I want to change the DB killer in this part of the exhaust, so I'll leave them off for now, but once I'm happy with what sound I'm getting from the exhaust, then I'll fit them. The final job is to go around and double check all of the nuts and bolts from the installation, make sure they're all done up nice and tightly, and then refit the side panel, and I can wheel the bike outside and see what it sounds like. So for comparison, here is the stock system. And here's the IXIL system with both DB killers installed. So let's now see what it sounds like under load.
So there we have it, the IXIL Race Xtrem exhaust on the GSX-8S. Let me know what you think. I wanted to keep the installation as brief as possible but still show you all the steps. So hopefully I've done that and shown you what hurdles you might have. The important thing is how good a quality this is, and I think it's been manufactured exceptionally well. It all fits very nicely. The kit is complete with the exception of the crush washers, but the most important thing of course is how it sounds, and I think the system sounds awesome. Now, I was going to record audio with this in all of its states, but having fitted it with 2 dB killers in, one here and one in the end, this is plenty loud enough. I wouldn't want this any louder, and without those 2 dB killers this would just be ear splitting. Yes, of course it is a louder system than the stock one, and some people won't like that, and I get that, but as you've seen, when you're pootling around town at 3,000 revs or lower, it's not really that much different to the standard one. There's just a little bit more of a pop, and it only really starts to growl and howl when you get up above 5,000 revs. So for me, that's a really good mix. A couple of things to note: if you are going to fit this, there was a change in this model between 24 and 25. So if you've got a 2024 bike or earlier, it has 1 lambda sensor at the front. If you've got a 2025 model, it's got 2 lambda sensors, so it's going to throw up an engine warning light because it's not getting a reading. So that's just something to be aware of. In terms of power, IXIL don't make any claims on their website as how much extra power this would bring. I would imagine you're going to get a few horsepower. I'd like to get this on the dyno to see what difference this makes, and also because I'm going to be fitting one of these. I've got a DNA high flow air filter, which I'm led to believe increases airflow by about 160%. Be interesting to get that on the dyno and see what it does, and also see if the ECU needs a little bit of adjustment for that extra airflow. As it is with this here, you don't need to make any changes. It's been riding perfectly. I've had no issues with it. The one thing I haven't spoken about, of course, yet is the price. I think this is a pretty reasonably priced system. It can be ordered through Motorcycle Performance Store. They are the UK distributor, and this full system, everything you've seen me fit, is £606 including VAT. So I think that's a decent price for what is a very nicely put together, nice looking and nice sounding exhaust. So I'll put a link to those guys down in the description. I hope you found the video useful and interesting. If you've got any questions about the exhaust, the fitting or the bike itself, then let me know in the comment section down below. The sharp-eyed of you may notice there's been a few other changes, so I will bring a little update video of all of the changes that have happened to the bike. But until then, all I want to say is thanks for watching. Take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.